Okay, we're back, and we're just going to hop into the game, guys. So, hello and welcome back to the Matcherino Cup. We are hopping into Core Hall Carnage Knockout. Different spawn locations this time around. This is a brand new best of 3 Hydra versus MaNa. It's going to be really awesome to see. We'll do the player intros in just a moment, but of course, I'm Rifkin, casting with Zombie Grub. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show so far. Hit the follow button on BaseTradeTV if you haven't, because I just realized we are less than 50 followers away from hitting 60,000 followers on the channel.
Cool.
So, in the top right side of the map, it is going to be none other than Team Liquid's Red Protoss, MaNa.
In the bottom left, as the blue Zerg, it is Hydra.
Alright, I need to go figure out how to add $35 to Matcherino really quick.
Alrighty then. Well, like you said, different locations, the spawn. But, I mean, I don't think it'll create that different of a game because of it. It is, of course, symmetrical. And I am more interested by far in the actual players. So ZVP is ZVP. That's whatever. We've certainly seen enough ZVP. There's actually been a surprising lack of Terrans this last 1 or 2 months. I mean, we used to have an overflow of Terrans with the TVT tournament and the Lima League, and now not anymore. But MaNa versus Hydra, and Hydra on the tiniest bit of a handicap here because it is NA to Europe for him, is going to be very interesting. MaNa has some very strong PvZ. Hydra just an all-around good player, but does make the same mistake as other Zergs. He is mortal, you know, stuck on Roach Lurker or Hydra Lurker for way too long, or run in the storms, you know. Anything like that. And I think, with everything considered, I'm going to give MaNa the 2-1, but we'll see what this first game looks like. Although, this is a very weird map, so maybe even this wouldn't really tell the whole tale.
By the way, I did donate. I've actually never donated to Matcherino before. We've always just worked with it. I didn't realize how easy it was. But anyways, $356 now is the total prize, plus I've donated $35 on behalf of the subscribers who have subscribed to us today. Of course, the option is still there, and if anyone new subs between now and the end of the cast, we'll still donate $5 for each person. But that's awesome. We got that prize pool so close to $400. I'm feeling it. I think if we get some good games for the semis, some really good games for the finals, I'm pretty sure we'll convince a couple people to chip in a couple extra bucks and make this a $400 cup. Which is insane, by the way. That's enough money for us to like try and run something larger than like a once-off weekly cup. I know the players certainly love that they don't have to work too hard to get quite a bit of cash.
Yeah. I mean, MaNa, once again, wanting to go to those finals and get the number 1. He would have rolling in Matcherino money.
I mean, MaNa won our first ever Matcherino Cup, and he walked away with like something like $350, $360 from it for first place. We raised $500 for that first cup. It was pretty sick to see. And I'm really glad we could pay the players out. But what I like more so is, of course, the bigger the prize pool gets, the bigger the 4th and 3rd place prizes get. So even those who don't finish first still get more money.
Mm-hmm. We have another early Twilight Council, similar to what Billy just did in our last series. This time it is accompanied, I think, by a faster Robo. So I don't know if MaNa is looking for the same adept attack. I think so. Just, you know, it's going to be coming a little bit later. What's interesting is if you break down the rocks, then, I don't know, it's a no-go on the attack, and it's almost questionable as to why you get Resident Enclaves. But I think he's just getting it low in case. What scouting has he done? Well, he saw Hydra's base in Natural, not the 3rd yet.
Yeah, let's go with Dart in, but they're going to quickly be picked off, so they won't get to see too much. But yeah, I guess not moving up to the 3rd, didn't see this base, but I guess with how big the map is, it's at the very least good to know where your opponent spawned, to know from what angle they could attack in.
Mm-hmm. No, certainly.
MaNa, of course, displaying versus Beastie some cheeky tactics. I almost forgotten because it feels like it was forever ago now, but he did do the Warp Prism shenanigans. Ooh, clutch deny on the scout there to MaNa too. But cool. I really liked his tactics, not because it was like a Warp Prism drop, but because he thought well enough onto the map to come from the back door and try and get past or over the rocks and use the map to his advantage. You know, I've harped on this enough times in the cast that I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing about it, but my favorite players really are the ones who can look at a map, recognize where the advantages are in the map, and play to the strengths of not just themselves, not just their race and the matchup, but the map as well. And that's what I really got from MaNa, that vibe from watching that first game.
Yeah.
Or I guess it was third game, excuse me.
Yeah, the 3rd game. This is an interesting situation here. So, obviously Hydra saw the Robo, but he didn't see the Twilight Council, and he didn't see the additional additional gateway, one gateway, sorry. You only saw 3 gateways. So it's a 4-gate Warp Prism, Adept attack that obviously takes care of the wall that I thought was going to be a problem. Just go right over it and try and warp in with the Warp Prism if you see an opportunity. But just harassing is not bad either. These do have resonating glaives. They'll quickly take down drones gone, unprotected. And in fact, they're taking out the Lings here with some nice micro.
Yeah, this is MaNa. We always talk about like his Warp Prism blink micro. Kind of a bit of a joke, but always good to see. He will kill that queen and pick up the Adepts, keeps the Warp Prism alive, and takes no losses for that attack.
Very impressive. And hopefully this Observer or the Warp Prism will be scouting the Spire for his sake, but he's already fallen with Blink. Again, that first line of defense, but not the end-all be-all defense against Mutalisk. If he sees it, I don't think he can really do much about it. That third game with Billowy, he just went for an attack before Laser could get a lot of mutas. That's one way to do it. That's the preferred way to do it. Just never let the mutas get up into a high number. But there's not much of an army for MaNa, and he is trying to get to a third base, all saturated and whatnot. And I still don't think he's seen that Spire. It's at the natural behind it.
So, it's funny because the Warp Prism did so good, and then just kind of flopped out. Like, MaNa used his adrenaline burst already. Not even scouting the Spire is a pretty big deal. Because for Hydra, we're talking a pretty big game for MaNa, as he is a really good Protoss player. But every good Protoss player could get caught by a Spire transition.
Yes, for sure. Now, it's unfortunate, or could be unfortunate, is the Warp Prism just flying into mutas because you don't know mutas are on the way. A Warp Prism, it sounds like it should be obvious will die to mutas, but a lot of the times if you can hide it, they'll be the really key unit in bringing the mutas back to deal with it. Yeah, a couple of unrallied probes.
Well, he's still not rallied the Nexus at all.
Okay, fix that. But MaNa is moving out. He's brought the Warp Prism back to his army, so I think he was planning on maybe, pushing a prodding, poking. I don't know about really committing. He still hasn't seen the mutas, or he saw the very end tail of one. Okay, I think that's what he's chasing for.
It's dangerous to be doing this, though. I mean, the map is so big. There's so many angles in which you can get surrounded upon. So for MaNa to be moving out at all is certainly questionable. But now that the mutas are revealed, he pulls the probes back. But where do you pull them to? That army's out of position. He's moving the Mothership Core forward, so might be considering a recall back home. But he also might be considering, oh, well, if you've invested all that, there might not be anything at home. And there isn't. Hydra's only just now getting an army up. I don't know that MaNa can necessarily walk over and win, but he is going to bleed out at home. If he doesn't want to recall, he is committing to an all-in.
Well, the muta count really isn't all that high. They just took out a lot of probes and are going for more. But what is on the defense? Roaches, Hydras, not a very big count, and Hydra is forced to pull his drones. This is actually not going so badly. A lot of drones are going to start going down here, with all the probes going down for MaNa.
He's got to focus fire down these Hydras, though. He's really shooting away at a lot of the probes, and some Changelings messing up with some of the walk micro is. He's running out of blinks. He's starting to bring the Warp Prism in. He's barely won this fight, but the Hydras should be able to hold this.
Yeah, they will be able to. That is going to be game.
GG.
MaNa had no reinforcements.
It was so awkward. Like, the Mothership Core, we watched in the middle of the map. It was like, do I go here? Do I go back? Do I go here? Do I go back? Like, he didn't know whether he wanted to go home with an overcharge or go forward to the recall. I kind of feel like if MaNa just came into a recall, he may have been able to salvage that, but it was such a big, silly map. I don't think it's one he was planning to play too much out on anyways, so game number 1 does go to Hydra. You guys should have hosted a HOTS tournament on April Fools. That would have actually been pretty funny. Do like a Wings of Liberty tournament on April Fools. Have like some mods so we could like customize the player names and be like, look, it's Zest and Flash, but it's like Billowy and Beastie or something.
I thought they meant heroes. Hey guys, moving to heroes.
Okay, that would have been funny too. But okay, we're gonna go to game at number 2. It is gonna be MaNa's map pick.
Dusk Towers.
Not so surprising.
Nope.
Of course, I still have to leave Twitter off. Everyone's still tweeting about this damn video. I want to watch it so bad.
It's so good.
Okay, players are ready. We're good to go. Map intro is loaded, and we're going to get into Dusk Towers for game number 2. After this game's done, we'll update the prize pool and let the players know, but it's currently, again, $356. That's pretty dandy. See you guys here in a minute. All right, back in action for game number 2 in the best of 3 semifinals match. Spawning on the bottom left side of Dusk Towers, we do have the blue Protoss, Team Liquid's MaNa.
In the top right, as the red Zerg, it is Root Hydra.
Okay, so for Hydra, feeling pretty good coming off the victory in that first game. I do feel like for him it was a little bit awkward, but unfortunately did showcase the strength of mutas. I wonder how different the game would be if Blizzard gave you options to customize your static defense a bit more. Like, okay, you've got turrets that can only shoot up. What if you could have a structure that was either half as effective but could shoot up and down like a cannon, or twice as expensive but could do the same thing? Or alternatively for Protoss, have a cannon that specializes in anti-air only defense, so that you could actually consider investing in those to mineral line, opposed to just say, screw it, this isn't even worthwhile.
What game is... That sounds very familiar. So in like StarCraft campaign, you can upgrade it one way or another out of game, like in your ship or whatever. But I know there's a game where there's like 2 different options. You can choose like, okay, it's going to be fast anti-air or it's going to be slow anti-ground. And I just can't think of it. It's not Command & Conquer. It's not Age of Mythology. What other RTSs have we even played? Oh well. The point is, it would be an interesting addition, but not something that StarCraft ever going to do.
Clash of Clans. There you go. That's another RTS.
Yeah, totally. I've totally played that.
Oh my god, I hate it. They brought up Clash Royale on the Twitch Weekly with like DJ Wheat and Anna Prosser talking about it, so I was like, oh, check it out. I like Clash of Clans. I'll play it. Oh my god, I'm so addicted to this stupid game. It's so dumb. God damn it.
Of course. Well, regardless, that was not just the power of Mutalisk, that was the power of tech swap. So the first thing Hydra did was Mutalisk, actually. So that wasn't the tech swap that surprised MaNa. I think what would have been even more surprising was, okay, mutas, okay, they're in my base, let's just go for like the borderline base trade, hope he doesn't have a lot of mutas, and then meeting Roach Hydra, which at the beginning was a very small amount. He almost caught him in this perfect opportunity of, you know, Hydra did not have enough of an army back at home. But if that had been Hydra sticking purely on Ling and mutas, that also would have been a very different game. One that MaNa's army probably could have dealt with, but not so. So he chooses Dusk Towers, which is an obvious second choice. It's good for Protoss. It's like one of the only ones that really good for Protoss. His orbital shipyard's been taken out of the map pool now, and it's just, you know, it's a comfortable map for anyone, as opposed to something like Core Hall, which is a weird, stupid map that no one wants to ever choose, usually.
Oh. I don't know how we missed this forever ago. I'm just being alerted to it now. Diablo Melandra donated $5 earlier, and I'm terribly sorry we missed this. Says, got my coin. Can't resub PayPal being a dick to Twitch, even though I got money in PayPal. And asks me a credit card to resub, and I don't want to use a credit card online. So he uses some emotes that are like giving the finger. And then shrugs. But also tweets us a picture of his part 2, so that's good to see, man. We also have Wadmanicus just up to the channel, brand new, which means we're going to be adding $5 more into the Matcherino prize pool, thanks to Wadmanicus. So thank you so much for subscribing, sir.
Well, third base on the way. Hydra did send a couple of Lings out there to see if it could cancel the Nexus, but just got 1 or 2 units and shouldn't be getting the cancel. Yeah.
Mothership Core could certainly step into and pick up some of these Lings.
Yeah, could. But she won't.
I'm kind of curious why. It's free damage. It would actually be a considerable amount of extra damage, but MaNa is just playing very, very safe,
She's
what
lazy.
I'm going to say.
She lazy.
Yeah, she lazy. She need to get off that couch.
The proposal couch. The lair right now for Hydra without a Roach Warren. Now, we could slap it down as the lair is finishing. Certainly seen that enough, because Hydra's being pretty greedy now. Like, a lot of drones, just drones. The Lings were enough of a task force to scout if MaNa was going to attack him. Seeing the third, obviously not the case, so just drone. But I am curious, since we saw a Spire last game, if we can see one again here, and then into the transition to Roach Hydra. As this game, there are already Phoenixes. So if last game he didn't stick on mutas, I don't know why I would stick on mutas this game. Unless it went really, really well.
It's a good question in chat. Asking what these commands do. Gun check specifically. So the emoticon for gun check and typing ! gun check have the exact same effect on the bot. Just so people are clear, because there were some questions about whether typing the emote for gun check actually affected anything or typing ! gun check did, but they both perform the exact same amount of effectiveness when it comes to bank heists.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you check your guns before every bank heist, guys.
The choice, by the way, was a Hydra list end. So this is something that a Hydra's done, so I guess I should have remembered that. But just skipping roaches entirely. Not even bothering with a roach warren for safety measures, since there was nothing to be safe against, really. And he's going for Ling Hydra, then eventually into those lurkers.
I was wondering, though, like, I mean, with the gases being so delayed, like, would he be crazy enough to go for that Spire again? But Ling Hydra's not a bad choice at all. T-Wave hits us up with the 2-month resub. Thank you so much. Adepts cancel that transfer. They're actually not going to go to the third base mineral line. Meanwhile, Phoenixes from MaNa continue to be annoying in the main, but not really getting any kills. In fact, MaNa not really doing any damage, more just being annoying.
But it's very effective annoying. He has quite a few minerals in the bank. I think he wants to use those on charge lots eventually, but and it's a little supply blocked. Ooh, that supply block's pretty hard, in fact. Oh no. Well. Oh my god, I'm still looking at it. Oh god.
See, like, I can't believe a pro gamer.
101.
Oh my god.
Okay, there we go. And a huge burst of production, too, as he realized he was banking so much. His economy did just get perfectly set up at 66 probes, so that is the expected burst. Just a little bit late thanks to that pylon block. But I was going to say, like, his supply was looking very good, so that harassment was effective harassment. And he should be good to go for whatever Hydra has to throw at him. But Hydra is not going to go for any attack with lurkers. He's skipping past lurkers entirely, no lurker den, and goes for the Hive and the Spire. Something he did earlier on today, but on Ruins. I thought it was because of the map, even though he didn't really abuse the map when he did it. I just thought Ruins made sense for air. But he's going forward again on Dusk Towers.
You know, I'm actually just thinking as you bring this up, Ruins being a very common theme for map. Like, for some reason, all these worlds are, like, abandoned and old and desolate. When are we going to get a map that's taking place, like, over a real live city? Like, I mean, this kind of happens on Orbital Shipyard, I guess, because you look below, you can see the Terran structures. But, like, what if there was, like, neutral units and buildings in the middle of the map that had no bearing on anything? They just were there because you're fighting in, like, an actual city.
They have had maps like that. I know Metalopolis was on a perfectly fine city.
I know that's the point of it trying to be a city, but I'm talking like actively having like siege tanks or civilians or something that
I don't know
attack
about that.
and do no interaction whatsoever. They're just there on the map.
I was gonna say that there's been maps with like skyscrapers in the middle with like houses in the middle.
Yeah.
But I don't remember ever seeing a civilian. That's true.
Actually, I think the closest to what I'm describing, TB had that one tournament, right? Shellcraft or whatever, Clan Wars. They had that one map that had like neutral missile turrets all in the north that would attack things.
Yeah. I thought you were going to bring up, like, when are we going to see a map where it's rebuilding? Like, where are we going to see the map that's based off the ending of Legacy of the Void?
Yeah, right? Like, the protest. That would actually be super cool, to be honest. But, okay, so Broodlord's on deck. We get the Spire, Greatest Spire finish up here momentarily. And MaNa is not well equipped for this. He's got the Tempest potentially coming out. I don't believe... Did he ever scout that Greater Spire? No, he's never even seen the Spire. So he's just getting ready for what is an eventuality of Lurkers or Broodlords or what have you. But this is a little bit harrowing for MaNa, I must say.
Well, the Broodlords still have to make and then go across the map, and MaNa still has opportunities to harass and keep them back, which is what these Zealots, I guess, are planning on doing if Hydra ever takes a fifth. Which you'd expect going up to tech like this. MaNa pushing out though.
Oh, people are talking about the Warcraft 3 campaign.
Oh yeah, all those. I remember all those civilians. I was gonna say he's pushing out, and there was a Ling run by set up, so they get on top of that fourth base, force the probes to move, and this was, I guess, trying to hit right before Broodlords are done, but Broodlords are out, and no Tempests. Corruptor's also on the way. There's the transparency issue with the creep.
Yes, very annoying. I was going to bring this up, though, because I know we made some jokes about Here's the Storm earlier. What really, really pissed me off was, like, you had Warcraft 3 with an audible dialogue where they said Tyranda's name so many times, but I had to listen to people cast Tears of the Storm for the first, like, 5 months, and everyone was calling her Tyrande and shit. I'm like, okay, I get that you read that wrong, but there's actually, like, a reference out there where they're saying her name in the Warcraft 3 dialogue.
I don't know. I didn't know
argue
either.
that, like, no, it's pronounced however we want to. I'm like, no, that's not how names work.
Well, that's certainly not true. But I didn't know how her name was pronounced either. I'm just going there and being like, you play that Tyrande?
Yeah, it just sounds like you get like almost a hillbilly accent going on there. Like, shit, Darnell, you and Tyrande need to take them crabs out to the back.
Oh, the Tempests are on the way, but the Broodlords and the Queens are already here. I mean, there's a lot of feedbacks and storms available.
There are a couple of Tempests, so MaNa doesn't start this fight without the ability to fight. But we talked about this before. You go around a Zerg army that you can't fight, and that's what these War Prisms, that's what these Zealots are supposed to do. But Hydra's left a considerable amount of Hydras back at home. Now, this could be both a good and a bad thing. The bad thing is, like, it actually takes them away from the front lines. There's less to defend Broodlords.
Rifkin being critical over how people pronounce names.
Exactly, that's my point. Of all people, I should know how wrong it is to pronounce a name wrong. Like, I, of all people, are, like, the first ones with, like, the recent...
God.
Alright, so this base goes down, and MaNa just kind of has to abandon ship with it. That kind of sucks. Other side of the map looks like Zealots did get some more drone kills with the War Prism finally cleaned up. It means MaNa can now focus on the army and kind of has to focus on the army. But so many of those Hydras, like I said, were left at home, so there's not a lot to stop the assaulting front line of these Archons. Oh my god.
Yeah,
everything here getting
Archons.
annihilated, and the Tempests are focused firing on the Broodlords. Feedbacks go down on the Queens. They disappear immediately. He's going to lose these Broodlords. This cost him a base, but it cost Hydra an army.
Yeah, and don't forget that those Zealots took out one of Hydra's own bases, which I guess he has recreated by now, but still, it's an entire army down, and MaNa was able to save a lot of his very expensive slow-building units. So Hydra remaxes on Hydras, for now. It's the name of the movie. But eventually he'll be wanting to add in maybe more Broodlords. But this is a problem that sometimes appears. You know, there's that point where Immortals are too good against Lurkers. Okay, that happens. And there's a point where Broodlords are too good against a non-Tempest Protoss army. But once the Protoss gets to this army that counters the Broodlord army, what does the Zerg do next? There really isn't that much of an answer, and a lot of Zerg are saying at this point the Protoss are not unbeatable, but you know, pretty damn hard to beat. Counterattacks can be effective if you have Lings that are upgraded, because certainly it's a very slow-moving army. But, you know, Hydra's not exactly rolling in dough here. He lost a base. He never got a fifth.
Neither player really has a bank to work on, which is kind of scary. Hydra's upgrades, though, do look fantastic. I mean, +3 on these Hydras means they're going to tear through anything they get to actually fight. But there's not a lot of storms for MaNa. He's encroaching forward, but he's got to be very careful. The Archons, as we see, just popping off immediately. And he needs those Archons, not so much for the Hydras, but for the Corruptors, as he does lose them, realizing this is a problem. Tempest getting focused down on MaNa, pushed way too far forward, way too into his opponent, and that cost him everything.
Yeah, that was a very questionable engagement in a wide concave where the Tempests were unable to find any abusive situation, and especially without those storms. Maybe he thought he had more storms, like 5 or 6 more, and thought he could take it. But that was probably the worst thing MaNa could have done. And we were just talking about banks. I thought it'd be a problem for Hydra. Now it was a huge problem for MaNa.
I feel the biggest problem there was the Archons disappearing. Like, if those Corruptors came in the same way they did, but the Archons were kept behind the Immortals, and they didn't go to the front lines to kill the Hydras, they instead killed the Corruptors, I feel like MaNa actually doesn't take a bad fight there. But the Archons on the front lines, the +3 weapon upgrades in the Hydras, they just melted.
Yeah, that was a very bad engagement. MaNa, if Hydra gives him about 2 more minutes, could probably get another good army going. And Hydra is trying to get to Broodlords and is, you know, just posturing right now. But he's also sending Lings, so that's 5th. You can count. And there's not much to defend against it. It's a full Lings surround, even if they're not well upgraded. We'll still be able to tear that Nexus down. Oh my god!
Okay, well, with 40 health, it lives.
If only they had +1 melee.
Right? Our fully Protoss had building armor. Go Terran! Hype!
Hey, they have shields. They can deal.
I will say, like, we all know how good a Planetary Fortress is against killing Lings, but nothing feels better than being that guy who actually gets building armor and watching Lings do nothing to your buildings. You're just like, yes!
Well, like I said, if MaNa was given another 1 or 2 minutes, he might be okay. And it's getting almost to that point. He's only 40 supply away from being maxed out and still has at least 1.5 bases mining. He actually pulled pretty early from his natural probes, but anyway, the army of Hydra is looking to end this game. There's a lot of storms available, and he's now just morphing in a couple more Archons, but those Broodlords aren't being taken down too quickly. Only 3 Tempests available.
Yeah, it's pretty bleak for MaNa. His army supply is dropping off pretty quick. The storms do take out most of the Hydras. Like, that's gotta feel fantastic.
That last storm.
But even then, there's still just nothing to push back the Broodlords, and 4 Broodlords could very well win the game if they kill this base. This is MaNa's mining. Other side of the map, Phoenix is going here. Zealots get caught by the Spine Crawlers, and Hydra, I think, has this pretty much on lockdown.
He's so close, though. Like, 4 Broodlords, some of which are very, very injured. If he could just warp in a couple of Stalkers, and I guess he doesn't have Blink, then he could take care of it. Archons being morphed in on the backside will come forward now and take care of the Broodlords, and the army supplies aren't that bad. Hydra's still in the lead with a bit more of a gas bank available as well, but it is kind of evened out, and Hydra's army is in those Corruptors.
Call me wrong, I thought MaNa was going to be dead right then and there, but that's an impressive hold to say the least, and I guess all things considered, with MaNa's constant harassment, he's not exactly killed a million drones this game, but he has kept Hydra's income fairly low. I mean, both players are on what is basically 1.5, 2 base mining.
No, the Piss Squad!
Caustic Spray!
No!
So this is where he's like, okay, 1 Stalker will do this. Sort of.
Slowly.
Can't even kill 1 Corruptor.
You know, everyone was all like, yeah, Corruptors are useless.
Overshot.
I'm glad this was a change made. Now they really should just be useless again.
I know Corruptor's like too good. He's going to try and focus out this base, but Transfuses go into it. Archons, even a Time Warp going down on top of the base itself. Hydras are going to get taken out pretty quickly by those charge lots, but as those disappear, the Archons find themselves susceptible once again, but Storms slam down on top of the Hydras, and now it's mostly Queens, but Queens also have +3 weapon upgrades, so their damage isn't even that bad. The Immortals are getting focused down. The Archon merges, but MaNa's army is done for at this point.
Run.
Back on the other side of the field, because he used Warpids, he actually doesn't have the money to replace that Nexus, which is kind of okay because he did build a new one, but it's also going to get focused now by the Corruptors. Oh my god.
Oh, this is some bullshit. This is such bullshit. 2 Corruptors go down for it. There's no cancel. MaNa barely has any money left.
I don't know why he didn't cancel it. That's insane to me.
Oh,
He's long distance mining with pretty much everything he has. It's not even efficient long distance mining, because if he was long distance mining from here, he'd actually probably be getting more money. But okay, the income graph has been heavily in Hydra's favor for a while.
We're looking for more things to piss on. Don't be rude.
Look, there's a reason this is a crime to go in public and do this. You just can't do this, Hydra. Look, I know you're Korean, you might not know all the customs of America, but living in California, you should learn public urination is not a good thing to do.
Of course, the one downside to the Corruptor ability is that it's a very long cooldown, so...
Thank God.
Yeah. They just weren't available for it, but there we go.
One thing I actually do appreciate Blizzard doing, and I don't know if this was intentional, is the cooldown doesn't start...
Cancel it!
Oh, god damn it. The cooldown doesn't start until after it's over, and that's a very, very important detail to the way this works. Now, Hydra's up with his 50 supply to that of MaNa, but I'd say about 40 of that's in these Corruptors. Storm's fighting and tangoing on the other side of the map, kind of something akin to the cinematic for Legacy of the Void, but not quite going to be as effective. And I do think that MaNa is on the ropes, to say the least.
He's SOL, man.
That's another SOL.
Standard of learning. And it was all like really off the back of losing those 2 Nexus. If he had either one of them up, or especially both of them, they were in a pretty even army supply. I think MaNa's only down 10 or 15, and that was those Corruptors, so not a big deal. But after losing that army, the most recent army, just was unable to recreate it, and now that's going to be game.
GG. Hydra will move on to the finals. Now, of course, MaNa ends up having like, I want to say close to $40 for losing in 3rd and 4th place. That's not too bad, considering again he won our first ever Matcherino Cup. He walked away with like $300 plus something. So I don't imagine he's feeling too worse for wear. But, of course, the donation pool is still open. We do want to keep raising more money as much as humanly insanely possible. So if you guys haven't checked out Matcherino, do us a favor. Hop over to the page. I think we've used up almost all the coupon codes at this point, so I'm not going to advertise them at this stage. Just if you're willing, if you got a couple of bucks, if you want to see this prize pool hit $400 today, we certainly appreciate any help available. And we're going to go to a commercial break, I guess, while we set up the finals. It'll be Billowy versus Hydra. Maybe we should play this one on NA, do you think?
We can ask.
Yeah, if they're willing, that might be better for ping for both of them. But we're going to get the finals set up. I'm going to rear back, so we'll see you guys in a couple minutes. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with the finals when we return.